Hello everyone, this is POW ponderonweather. In this update, we're going to be talking about a dynamic cooling snowstorm, freezing temperatures for the southeast, then a warm up, and then a big Arctic blast coming for Thanksgiving week. So if you're new to the channel, click the subscribe button and notification bell to get all my daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. Good morning everyone, this is Sunday, November the 14th, and what we're taking a look at here is the overall 3K NAM model of this developing snowstorm that we're going to be talking about. It's already breaking out some snow into portions of Wisconsin this morning. That feeds into Michigan here, and then some of this is lake-enhanced induced snow. We all already continue to have that atmospheric river continue to pummel the Pacific Northwest. And then we've got definitely some freezing temperatures this morning for the southeast. Let's actually take a look at this. These are real-time temperatures, folks, of this morning. You can see all the reds here in the 20s. But what's impressive is down here in the southeast, they've got freezing temperatures breaking out into Virginia, going into North Carolina, even down into South Carolina, even portions of Georgia here. And this temperature is still going to fall another hour or two because I'm doing this video fairly early. But check this out, 32 degrees for the Florida Panhandle, guys. Florida's not missing out on this one. So definitely it's cold in Florida this morning as that cold air sinks all the way down to the deep south, all the way down to the coast here. So that's a pretty impressive shot of cold air for November standards. Let's take a look at the overall hazard map this morning. That's why they've got the freeze watches and warnings in place for much of the southeast, reaching all the way down to the Florida Panhandle. And we've got some high wind watches and warnings, and then there's that flash flood watch for portions of Washington here with a lot more heavy rain on the table. But they've got those winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings in portions of Wisconsin going into Michigan this morning. But what they don't have is winter weather advisories into portions of the Ohio Valley, say getting into Indiana, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, getting into say PA. I think there's going to be a process going on this morning. It can be called dynamic cooling. We're going to go over this process, and I do feel these areas should be under actually a winter weather advisories at least. So this is what I'm taking a look at. Here's the overall 850 millibar temperatures. This is about 5,000 feet up in the upper atmosphere. We're already seeing temperatures that -7 here Celsius. That's about 19 degrees. So there's plenty of cold air aloft. And I do feel as this storm kind of really starts to get its act together, as it's going to be able to pull in some of that, rain, and that cause that lift in the upward rising motion, that's going to pull that energy up into the upper atmosphere. And you've got a process called dynamic cooling that looks to be taking place. So how that typically works is you've got that lift, and as it has that strong lift, that actually causes the air to cool in the mid layers of the atmosphere. Then it reaches that 5,000 foot mark, and where it's about 19 degrees, guys, and it's plenty cold up there. And as rain starts to fall, or that snow, it's going to be able to cool the mid layers of the atmosphere. And I do feel that actually is going to be able to help the temperatures drop. They're about 34, 35, 36 degrees this morning. But they're expected, a lot of these high temperatures in the Ohio Valley region expected to be in the upper 30s today. And I do feel with the dynamic cooling going to be taking place, that's going to help lower the temperatures about 5 degrees and put you in that sweet spot of about 32, 33, 34 degrees. And I do feel a lot of this, instead of being rain, it's going to be a wet snow with that dynamic cooling process that I do feel is going to be taking place kind of throughout the day. So you'll probably start off as rain, but I do feel as the rain starts to fall and as some of it kind of mixes into a wet snow, it'll transfer to all snow as we get into the afternoon, as that low pressure start to really get its act together, and as that creates more lift. I do feel a lot of these, lighter shade blues are going to turn into some darker shaded blues with some heavier snowfall, moderate snowfall, as we get into the afternoon hours. This is at 19Z. That's about 2 o'clock this afternoon, and to Indiana and Ohio, where I do feel it's going to be mostly snow instead of rain that it's technically forecasted to be right now. So as this continues to move on, I do feel that dynamic cooling is continuing to take place into Pennsylvania. That'll get into upstate New York. Some of this will be lake enhanced, but most of it will be that dynamic cooling process that I do feel is going to be on the table today. It's kind of a unique feature. It doesn't happen all that often, but it can change the forecast in a big way, and I do feel that's going to be on the table. So don't be surprised if you pick up several more inches of snow that you're not forecasted to get currently from some of the local areas out here. So let me take a look at some of the totals that I feel is going to be on the table this afternoon as we get into this afternoon between now and the midday Monday. Yeah, about 1 to 2 inch swath is going to be in place for Wisconsin. That'll feed into portions of pretty much all of Michigan here, with a good 1 to 2, sometimes 2 to 3 inch swath. That's where they've got the winter weather advisories in place and some winter storm warnings. But where they don't have it is down here into the Ohio Valley. So I'm thinking 1 to 2 inches in places like Chicago. A little bit heavier amounts as more dynamic cooling starts going to be taking place into Indiana and Ohio. There could easily be 1 to 3 and easily be 3 to 5 inch swaths in places, especially as you get into Ohio, where I think the dynamic cooling is going to be at its greatest. And as this continues to move on, I do feel it continues to push into portions of Pennsylvania, where I think I looked at the local forecast, say in Pittsburgh, they're expecting a little bit less than an inch, maybe kind of a dusting to a half inch. I'm thinking closer to 2 to 3 inches in Pittsburgh from this dynamic cooling. I feel that's going to be on the table today, and then see a little bit higher amounts as you get along the Great Lakes here. But yeah, this could be picking up sporadic snow amounts, but a good 1 to 3 and at times 3 to 5 inches in some of these areas that I'm expecting later on this afternoon, getting into tonight. But after that, we've got a pretty big warm up on the way for next week. This is the setup on the 500 millibar by the time we get into Tuesday, as we create what they call zonal flow. It's going to be more or less a Pacific pattern coming off the west. And that's a hot pattern, I mean, technically, warmer pattern for say, as we've got troughs well to the north, the snow line, and the kind of the cold air is going to be well to the north, as much of the country is going to be able to warm up as far as the temperature anomaly standards. Then as we transition into Thursday, that November the 18th, we do have a trough coming in the midsection of country, but there's not really much lift to this. I mean, there's not much rain that's going to be squeezing out of the atmosphere from this particular system, as we're just kind of in between systems and more or less more or less a kind of above average for a good chunk of the South. But things do turn around in a big way by the time we get into that Monday, November 22nd, that Thanksgiving week. Everything's kind of lining up for a big week coming up for Thanksgiving week. So what we're taking a look at here, this is the northern hemisphere view, so you can give an overall depiction. We got paint bombs happening over Greenland. We've got another paint bomb happening over Alaska. That creates the blocking that you typically need to funnel some of the colder air down into the southern regions, getting into portions of the United States. The Arctic oscillations turn negative, the NAO turns negative. You got all these teleconnections starting to kind of align together. We've got a trough. We got a low pressure system setting up down here off the coast here. So you got cold air pumping in from the north, and we've got a low pressure system starting to develop. We've got blocking highs. We got a 50-50 low that's going to be able to slow down these systems. It's not going to be able to be as progressive as they have been. So this is going to be able to tap into some of this moisture, and that's going to set the stage for, I do feel, not only some Arctic air for a good chunk of the country, central and eastern 2/3 of the country for Thanksgiving week, But I feel it's going to be a very active week and a very snowy week at that, with all these things coming together. And we got reinforcement, colder air hanging out here. And after this trough moves through, we've got reinforcements to end for Thanksgiving and beyond. So yeah, I do feel everything's going to be on the table. So by the time we get into that Mondays, this is 0Z Monday, November the 22nd. This is about 6 o'clock in the afternoon, with that Arctic blast really starting to feel the effects and getting into portions of Canada, into portions of the United States. These are about 6 o'clock in the afternoon temperatures. Yeah, this is some cold stuff, guys. I mean, we're talking 20 below zero in Canada. Yeah, I mean, so single digits starting to filter in. These are these afternoon, temperatures by the time we get into 6 o'clock on Monday. So single digits in Montana, single digits in the Dakotas. That colder air continues to drain south into portions of Colorado, even all the way down into Nebraska, getting into Kansas region with freezing temperatures by the time we get into the afternoon hours. And then by the time we wake up on Tuesday morning, that November the 23rd time frame, you're really starting to feel that Arctic air really starting to creep further south. These are your feels like temperatures, what it's going to feel like as far as the wind chill. Yeah, we're talking 30 below zero. So that's definitely some Arctic air that's coming for the United States. And that's going to be sinking southward, spreading those wind chills of 20 below zero into the Dakotas. And that just continues to spread further south. Single digits you're waking up to feels likes in Kansas. And I do feel as this continues to amplify and really entrench into the United States, and once it taps into that low that's developing down there into eventually into the Gulf, yeah, it's going to be setting up a lot of snow activity for the central part of the U.S. And I do feel that's probably going to be creeping up into, again, the Ohio Valley, into the Northeast by the time we get into that Thanksgiving, Friday after Thanksgiving time frame. So yeah, I'm expecting a pretty active week for Thanksgiving. But between now and the next 7 days for Sunday, yes, we do have that system, that clipper system that we talked about at the beginning of the video for the Ohio Valley. But otherwise, it's going to be a fairly warm week. And as these systems that come across on Thursday, there's not really going to be much lift to it. So there's not much rain happening really in Texas. Just kind of sporadic showers really in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri. Yes, this taps into the energy that's happening right now and Monday for portions of the Ohio Valley. But for the most part, most of the area in the southeast is dry. Most of it's out west is dry. Yes, the atmospheric river continues for the Pacific Northwest, but definitely not as intense as it has been. So you're just maybe adding to those 1 to 2 inch totals. Here's your snow line for the next 7 days. So this is basically between now and Sunday. It's not picking up on any of that Arctic blast that I feel that's going to be on the table for, your Thanksgiving week. So we talked about some of the higher amounts for the Ohio Valley into PA today that this model's not showing. But most of the snow for next week is going to be well to the north into Canada, as you're going to have more of a zonal flow taking place for much of the week. Yes, we have that shot, but it's not going to be cold enough to snow. It's going to be just all rain as it continues, as that one system, and Thursday and Friday of next week, there's not really much lift to it. So the snow line is well to the north. But yeah, I think big changes are definitely going to be on the table by the time we get into that Thanksgiving week for that week. So I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video. Definitely leave your comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest update where I protect you before and after storm.